So a lot of people say to me, okay, Nicky, this is all great, but I'm not you. You are this like articulate, passionate, charismatic, high energy guy. That's not me. So podcast guesting won't work for me, right?
All right, so Nicky, we are back, and wow, what an incredible conversation we've had so far. We're obviously talking about the work that you've done, your legacy, what it takes to be successful, and the fight between good and evil.
Yep.
And sorry, just to continue on with what you were saying after.
Yeah. So when Charlie Kirk was murdered, assassinated, martyred, really.
Yep.
I sensed a shift in our world. There's a lot of people who'd been ignoring God and religion who all of a sudden decided to go to church, who decided that they were going to find out more about this young man and what he had to say. Why did he get killed?
Right.
And they weren't going to accept the narrative, right? They weren't just going to accept whatever the powers that be said they should think. They were going to figure it out for themselves. The number of people watching his videos and messages has grown exponentially, right? His organization, Turning Point USA, had 3,500 chapters in the US. They've had over 64,000 requests for new chapters. You know, that's crazy. There's now incredible. A Turning Point Canada. There's Turning Point in all kinds of other countries. The memorial for Charlie Kirk felt like a religious revival more than anything else.
You know, I 1000% agree with that. You know, my son and I went to church for the first time in a long time, just on Sunday. And he brought his Bible and he's like, that woke him up. You know, he was awakening, but that really, I think, yeah, he's 28. And he's like, I really want to now learn more about the Bible, the teachings. And you can see it right across the world. Yep. Not just in the U.S., not just in Canada, but right across the world. There is an awakening. There's a spiritual awakening that is happening, and I think whether or not if you believe it or you don't believe it, there is a feeling.
There is.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I want to dive into your book. You've got 3 great books here. Let's touch on these a bit. I want to know, and just high level. You know, you got the finish line thinking. What's this about? What's the high level, and why people should grab this particular book here?
So. Earlier on in my career, around 2003, I had the privilege of being introduced by a friend of mine to the great Mark McCoy. Now, Mark McCoy is the greatest high hurdler in Canadian history. He was a 15-time Canadian high hurdles champion. He was a 3-time Commonwealth Games champion. He was a 2-time world champion. He was Olympic champion in the 110-meter hurdles for Canada. And I met Mark because I was in the process of putting together a fitness program. And Mark introduced me to the great Donovan Bailey. Okay, so for those of you that don't remember who Donovan Bailey is, Donovan Bailey is a 5-time Olympic and world champion and world record holder in the 100 meters.
Right.
Incredible men, both of these men. And I had the privilege to work very closely with Donovan for a few years, but with Mark for over a decade. And I got to tell you, being around winners at that level is an instructive experience, Gary. You know what I'm saying? It's an instructive experience. The way they think is not like how other people think, right? And when I was branching out of fitness coaching, I wanted to put myself on the map as someone who understood a thing or two about the mindset of winning. So I sat down and I looked at all my conversations and notes that I had from discussions with Donovan and with Mark. And I mapped out finish line thinking. And in there, basically, I came up with 13 principles of how a finish line thinker, a gold medal thinker thinks versus how a fourth place thinker or an average thinker thinks. And there's also examples of people that I've worked with or have been clients of mine and how they've applied each of those principles. So if you open up the book, Finish Line Thinking, you'll see right at the beginning that we've got those 13 principles of how to think and win like a champion.
Look at that. You even got my name in here. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then at the end, there's a scorecard for someone to be able to determine whether you're a finish line thinker, an average thinker, or a loser thinker. And there's a series of exercises at the end to help you create goals and use these methodologies to hit those goals like a finish line thinker. And that was my first coaching business is I used this book. I'd hand this book to people. I'd give them a copy of the scorecard, either in the book or I have an electronic copy of it. People would fill it out. And then based on those answers, I would give them a complimentary coaching session and say, okay, your score says you're an average thinker. And then I'd say, I tell you what I'm prepared to do for you. I'll give you a free visioning coaching session. It's normally $1,000, but I'm giving it to you for free. It's 90 minutes of my time. What we're going to do during this time is we're going to help you set up your key objectives, your top 3 objectives with a game plan on how to achieve them. And it's free and there's no catch. And they go, no catch. I go, okay, well, maybe one catch. I go, okay, I knew it. What's the catch? I said, at the end of this time period, I'm going to make an offer to you. You know, if I like how you interact with them, I'm going to make an offer to you. And the offer is to participate in a coaching program with me. And the catch is I need a yes or a no. No, I got to think about it. No, I'll get back to you. No, I got to do a seance with my dead ancestors. Yes or no on the spot immediately.
Yep.
Agreed? A lot of people say, yeah, okay, I can do that. I can give you yes or no. So we went, I would do the program. That's how I signed up my first 50 clients.
Incredible. And you know what? This is not a thick book.
Nope. It's not.
You know, it's right to the point. 13 great tips on finish line thinking. I love that.
You can read this
in an hour.
Yeah.
In an hour.
And I tell people, look, instead of, if you say you got no time to read, you go to the bathroom, right? Everybody does. Don't take your phone. Take the book.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Get booked and get paid. I think this one here is going to speak to me for sure. Podcasting. I think podcasting is such a powerful tool. You know, I started listening to Joe Rogan. I think it was probably around maybe 2015. And I'm like, what is this podcasting? Just talking on a mic for like 3 hours. The first time I think I heard him, he was talking to Dana White.
Yeah.
What a powerful podcast. I'm like, and I just got hooked. Yeah. Why is podcasting so important? Get booked and getting paid. Well, why write the book?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of stories that will demonstrate why this is important. So in 2024 in the United States, they had an election, right?
Yep.
And Donald Trump won that election. But if you read the polls leading up to the election, they all said Kamala Harris was going to win that election. Every single major poll said that, but they ended up being wrong. He won, and he won pretty decisively, right?
Yep.
Why? Well, I postulate that he won because he decided he was going to go and be a guest on some highly rated podcasts. He was a guest on Aiden Ross's podcast, on Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He was a guest on Theo Vaughn's podcast. He was a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right.
Now, why is that significant? Many of the people who listen to podcasts are what I call disengaged voters or non-voters. They basically don't vote a lot or at all. And most of them were younger men, Gen Z men. Donald Trump reached them by going on these shows. I estimated that he had 338 million views of his appearances on those podcasts.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris had only went on the Shay Shay podcast, and she went on the Call Her Daddy podcast. I got to tell you, I don't know that either one of those shows moved the needle in terms of people who aren't already going to vote for her. You know what I mean?
More importantly,
let me finish the thought here.
Yeah.
So my estimate, based on my research on this, is that Donald Trump netted an additional 4 million votes by going on podcasts. Yeah. People who otherwise wouldn't have voted for him. The election, Donald Trump got 77.8 million votes. Kamala Harris just got over 75 million votes. That was the margin of victory. If he hadn't done that, if he'd have done what she did, he would have lost.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yep. I agree. And the other thing as well, too, what's so important and so powerful was the fact that they were unscripted conversations.
Yeah.
And I heard Joe Rogan talking about that he wanted to have Kamala Harris on the podcast, but they wanted to be a certain length. They also wanted it to not be in his studio, to have him flown into where she was to do it in a completely different environment. And that really, I think you're right, made that difference of the power of podcasting. And I think also too, to add to that, I think that's one of the reasons why, his name's eluding me right now, but who could have been the Prime Minister of Canada?
Pierre Poilievre. Yeah, it's the same thing. That was the next story I was going to tell you.
Yeah, is that if he'd have gone on podcasts, I think Patrick Bet-David had reached out to him. He could have won as well too. Yeah.
Joe Rogan asked him to come on the show and he turned it down.
Yeah.
That was the stupidest thing he could have done. I estimate that he would have won an extra 575,000 votes. The same demographic, young men who are disengaged and don't vote.
Uh-huh.
He lost the election by under 400,000 votes to the Liberal Party of Canada. That would have been the margin of victory for him. He has the Conservative Party has 144, 145 seats. The Liberals have 169. Those 575,000 votes would have flipped the script and probably had the Conservatives be at about 184 seats and the Liberals at about 140.
Right.
And if you are a politician and you are not maximizing your podcast strategy by appearing on as many significant podcasts as you can, you're a fool. You're going to lose to someone who is. And I love Pierre Poilievre. I love him. I think he's terrific. I want to see him be prime minister. And I think it's a tragedy for our country that he lost to Mark Carney. An absolute tragedy. But this is the difference between him and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is his own man and makes his own decisions. Pierre Poilievre listened to his advisors because his own instincts, I believe, would have told him go on these shows. And the mark of a leader, and this is something Pierre needs to learn, is you need to know when to overrule your advisors. You need to know when to overrule your advisors.
Very true. Getting back to your book here, why should people do it? I mean, I think you obviously made your point, but how do they also get paid?
Well, let me talk about my story of why I got on shows. So from May 2022 to today, we're talking in September 2025, just over 3 years, I've been a guest on just over 820 podcasts.
Jeez. So Canada, US, everywhere, across the world,
New Zealand, India, Australia,
just getting your message across.
Yeah. So there's probably 4 to 5 million people who wouldn't have known who I was, who now know who I am as a result of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why? Like I told you, our business was a live events business. So when the scamdemic and the lockdowns happened, we were in trouble, deep trouble. And I had a coach at that time. His name's Mark Von Musser. He actually co-wrote the book with me. He used to be Tony Robbins' director of coaching and sales training. And I went to him and I said, Mark, I'm freaking out here. How do we turn this around? And Mark is a brilliant man. He's a former Navy vet. He's also very hard driven, right? And he said, give me a minute, let me think. And he's one of these guys who actually thinks in front of you. You ever experience that where they shut up and you got to shut up until they're done, they're ready to talk? They'll just sit there and he thinks.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got it. I go, okay, great. He said, why don't you go be a guest on other people's podcasts, but not just to get likes and views, but actually to build relationships and to get leads, get sales, get clients. And I'm like, okay, I was ready to do anything, man. Like, you know what I mean? I had to turn things around. I said, okay, Mark, how do we do that? And he said to me the most brilliant piece of coaching I've ever received. And I remember it verbatim because it was that brilliant. He said, and I quote, "I have no freaking idea, but we'll figure it out together." So I signed up for a platform. And this platform uses an AI algorithm to match you with other podcasters. So guests with hosts. It has like 15,000 podcasts and 30,000 podcast guests on it. And in the first 30 days, I went on 100 shows. Like I was committed, right? Nothing. No leads, no sales, no clients. But I did after action debriefs with Mark. And we figured out through an iterative process how to make it better. By show 101, it all clicked. And I got my first lead in sale and client. And because of being a guest on other people's podcasts, and this is not the only way that I generate leads and money, I've generated over 7 figures for our business. And people go to me and they go, well, how? And I go, well, it's in the book on what to do, but I'll tell you right now, give you a little teaser. First thing you got to understand is the power of intention. If your intention when you go on a show is, I'm just going to have a great conversation, that's all you're going to do. But if your intention is, I'm going on a show because I want to generate relationship, leads, sales, and clients, that's a way stronger intention, right? That's like when you go on a date, I'm just going to see how it goes versus I'm going on a date because I want to see if this is going to be my lady, right? Very, very powerful intention. So that's the first thing. Second thing is there's a deeper level of intentions that you need to have when you go on a show. So whenever I go on a show, there's an audience of people that are going to be listening to it. And I go, these people are giving me their attention, man. That's a big deal, right? They could be doing a million things with their time. They're giving me their attention. I take that very seriously. I'm there to give them value. I'm there to inspire them. I'm there to show them that a better life is possible. Mm-hmm. Follow me?
Yeah.
Like that, I take that super seriously. Every time I go on a show, that's what I intend to do. And I always deliver. Always. Secondly, so Gary, you're the host of the show. You have invested considerable resources into making this happen. You put a studio together, you've got lighting, you've got cameras, you've got computers, you've got audio equipment, you've got video recording equipment. You're paying staff members to help you put this together. You're paying staff members to produce and record this. You're taking a big risk when you bring someone on the show, right? What if they're a dud? So when I come on a show, I want to make you the host thrilled that you had me. I want you to go, man, that's the best damn guest I ever had. I want it back. And I always deliver on that. Well, my third intention, this is the one before I figured this out, nobody seemed to have, is Gary, this conversation is an old-fashioned networking meeting done in a high-tech way. This is an opportunity for you and I to create know, like, and trust with one another. Now, I don't know about you, but I do business with people I know, like, and trust. And this half an hour to 2 hours that a host and a guest spend together is an opportunity to build a relationship, to create an opening for business to be done with one another, for collaboration, for mutual marketing and sales opportunities, and frankly, for a human-to-human relationship. And Ivan Meisner of BNI created a multi-million-dollar business out of this concept. And when Show 101 came on, that's when it all clicked to me, man, I need to focus on the host. The host. The host is a businessman, a businesswoman. The host is a seeker. The host is a dreamer. I want a relationship. So 820 shows is 820 relationships. Now, Gary, would you want 820 strong relationships with business owners in the next 3.5 years? Would that be okay with you if you did that for a small amount of money as a guest on other people's shows without having to spend ads?
100%, because I was taught very early on that your net worth is your network, and your network is your net worth.
You get it.
It's so important. And the other thing as well too, I think that you're doing as well, though you 100% you were, but you're also crafting your message. You're also seeing what worked, what resonated,
Absolutely.
Which now allows you to be able to stand on a stage and to be able to tap into different stories, because you've said it so many times and crafted it to a point where it's just a second nature. You can pull it out of the air on stage, make your story 20 minutes long, half hour long, an hour long. So it is incredibly important. I want to move into the third book here.
Let me say one more thing about this before we move into the third book.
Sure.
Okay, because this is important. So a lot of people say to me, okay, Nicky, this is all great, but I'm not you. You are this like articulate, passionate, charismatic, high energy guy. That's not me. So podcast guesting won't work for me, right? And I go, wrong. I've actually taught this in workshops to people. And there's stories in the book of a man who is a tax accountant. And stereotypically, like all tax accountants that you can think of, this man is not the world's most charismatic, high energy guy. And yet, I taught him what to do and how to do it. The first show he went on, the host loved what he had to say so much that she said, I think all my clients need you. Would it be okay if I sent you some referrals? Gary, would it be okay if I sent you some referrals? Is that all right? Can I send you some referrals? Is that okay? He got 18 referrals from this lady and made thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from his first appearance. A guy with not much charisma and not high energy. So you don't need to be a charismatic, high energy person. Secondly, they go, okay, well, you're very articulate. You speak in complete sentences or paragraphs. I don't, I'm tongue tied. You know, my English isn't that good. Well, I got a client in there who English is his fourth language, and he goes, all the shows he goes on are in English. Okay. He's Belgian, and he's his first language is Dutch, then it's French, then it's German, and then English. He's got a thick accent. And this guy went on shows and generated relationships, leads, sales, and clients. It doesn't matter. Do you know what matters? What matters is that you're sincere and honest and willing to speak the truth in your heart in a structured way. Like we said, right? You got to be able to tell the stories in the right way. But if you're willing to do all those things, podcast guesting will work for you. Who could be a great guest on a podcast? Anybody with a desire to be of service.
Yep. It's so powerful. You know, I was at a networking event on Monday, and somebody came up to me at the break. It's like, "Hey, you're the real estate guy," and it's just from the podcast. It's just from the show. It's just and we're gonna have a call next week. I don't know where it's gonna go, but you never know, and you got to put your message out. You got to put your voice out there. Okay. And even if you start off with only 10 views, it doesn't matter, because there might be that one person that listened that you may have changed their life, may impact you and bring you business. The last book here I want to touch on, The Thought Leader's Journey. Yeah. A Fable of Life. Touch on this one here for me.
So, Gary, I love to read. I'm 58 years old. I've been reading since I was 4 years old. And I estimate I've read 5,000 books in my life.
Right.
Okay. The last few years, I've actually been tracking the books that I read.
Yep.
And one of the things I can tell you is some of my favorite books are personal development books wrote in the form of a story. Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world, right?
Okay.
Phenomenal book. Robin Sharma, the monk who sold his Ferrari, the 5 a.m. Club. So I wrote my book in that style. And it's the story of a young man who works in a corporation and has a good job, but he's yearning to be his own boss. He's yearning to be free. That whole corporate structure is like stifling his freedom, his creativity. Mm-hmm. And this is a story of how he goes from being too scared to make a move to open his own company and what are all the steps he's got to follow. So I talk about needing to find your authentic voice, needing to go put it out there. I talk about don't try to be all things to all people. I talk about have the courage to take a step. And it's a beautifully told story. And if there's someone who's stuck in a situation they don't like in their current life, their current workspace, this could just give you the tools and the inspiration to take action and do something about it.
Yeah. You know, that's awesome that you wrote the book in that way, in that context. You know,
thank you.
I think that resonates with so many people who are stuck, or at least they think they're stuck in their 9 to 5. You know, I was there. Yeah. I got out of the 9 to 5 when I was 39. And a lot of people would say, well, that's too late.
No.
And I'm telling you, I look back at it and man, I could have probably obviously done it earlier, but sometimes, you know what, you're at the right place at the right time. And it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Scariest thing that I've ever done. But man, such a powerful moment in my life. And here's the hardest part though, and maybe you can touch on this, is that when you're in that corporate world, they're what you call crabs in the bucket. And they don't mean you harm, but they don't know what's on the outside of that bucket. And so they believe that they're actually protecting you.
No.
Would you agree with that?
They believe that. I agree. But when the crabs in the bucket are around you, that's why it's important for you to get into another bucket.
You have to.
Right? And you don't want to be in a bucket with a bunch of crabs. You want to be in a bucket with a bunch of eagles.
Yeah,
so they fly right out. Because the law of proximity is a thing. Who you hang around matters. I was just 2 weeks ago at the Vault conference, Patrick Bet-David's conference in
that's amazing. Orlando, I would love Florida, to go to one of those shows.
Come with me next year, man.
All right.
Yeah. I bought my ticket already. It's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be fun. So here's what was valuable about going there. I was around people that were thinking way bigger than me. Way bigger. And I just I left there going, you're not moving fast enough. You're not doing things big enough. So I came back and I started to make some changes. I met I've met with a fellow whose business is 20 times bigger than mine. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, hey, can I pay you to do some mentoring for me? And he said, okay. And this isn't what he does. That's not his main business. So, he charged me a ridiculously low amount of money, a lot lower than I charge people that I mentor. But he and I had a long chat. And he said to me, look, I know you and I know what you have to say is great. But when I read your social media, it's boring and monotonous. I'm like, boring and monotonous? He goes, yeah. He says, your podcast clips aren't bad, but everything else boring and monotonous. He said, what's your vision? So I told him, and I'll share it with you right now. And he says, well, why don't you say that on your social media? I'm like, I don't know why I haven't, but you're right, I should. So I started to write posts every day. And my posts were, not super long, but in them, I'd always share my vision and I'd share a tip. One thing people could do that would be beneficial to them. I had 2 people from the first post say, hey, I'd like to talk to you. Maybe you can help me. That was awesome. And the vision that I shared was, I see a world where by 2040, we have 1 billion multimillionaires. # billion millionaires. And having 1 billion multimillionaires will create a large constituency for free enterprise. And that will defeat the forces of darkness and evil by creating by creating an army of people who love freedom and believe in freedom. And that'll destroy socialism. And when I said that, man, people that listen to that, they just go, I love that. Yeah. Patrick, I said that in front of Patrick Bet-David, and he goes, this is great. And I said, thank you. And every person I've shared this with goes, yeah, what a great vision. I love it.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah. That's Nicky, listen, we're close to the end here. Literally less than a minute. What's one of the best quotes, best tips that you've ever gotten in your life that you can leave us with?
That's a great question. If you want your life to be a life that's fulfilling and that you're proud of, don't just make it about you and your shitty little petty problems. Make it about a cause way bigger than you. I look at Charlie Kirk, right? He was murdered and assassinated at 31, but look at what that man accomplished. And it was clear none of it was about him. You know that quote from the Bible? Here I am, God. Use me. Send me.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. Say to God, here I am, God. Use me. Send me.
Love it. Nicky, thank you very much. And I'll finish it up with this quote that I heard and I love is everything you need is within you.
Amen.
All right, brother. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom. Let's do this again.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.